Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 in our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turned out upon 560. It knew no lapse nor diminution. Now, this is a poem that will require some background knowledge, and some have argued this is one of Emily's more personal poems. It is going to require of us the mentioning of the great Thomas Higginson, that writer for The Atlantic, who was a publisher who had close contact with Emily. Now, there's a letter or two where Emily will make some observations. In letter 280, writing to Thomas Higginson, after reading in the Springfield Republican, he was leading troops in the Civil War in South Carolina. The letter was dated February of 1863, and it goes like this, or a part of it reads like this, quote, "I should have liked to see you before you became improbable. War feels to me an oblique place. Should there be other summers, would you perhaps come? I found you were gone by accident." And then in another exchange, she says it this way, quote, to Higginson, "I did not deem that planetary forces annulled, but suffered an exchange of territory or world." Emily, the great poet of longing. I mean, there are few poets who have captured that sense of longing that Emily can capture for us. Our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've worked through our set of introductory comments. I'm hopeful that you've read our preceding 559 poems. We just finished with 559, It Knew No Medicine. Notice the construction so similar of the two poems back to back. Now, this is another poem about longing or suffering. She uses the word suffering or to suffer in 16 of her poems, and it is clear that she wishes that she could somehow see Higginson. She says it this way, "It knew no lapse nor diminution, but large, serene, burned on until through dissolution it failed from men. It could not deem these planetary forces annulled, but suffered an exchange of territory or world." Now the "it," some scholars believe, is actually the summer of 1862, where in some ways that summer kept her from being able to see and correspond with Thomas Higginson. Again, Emily's first editor after her death, writer for The Atlantic, as we said. Higginson's dates, by the way, are 1823 to 1911. Notice that summer knew no lapse nor diminution. Well, what did it know? Large, serene, it burned on, obviously, until through dissolution, you'll remember dissolution from 539, it failed from men. In other words, it went away. "I could not deem these planetary forces," again, back to the letter that she wrote to Higginson, "annulled." These planetary forces, right? The war. It rarely does Emily comment on the war, here it is, but suffered an exchange of territory. Maybe she's referencing here Higginson's visit to Amherst, or the world. Now, this poem does take us back to 498, when she speaks of specifically the absence of someone else, Sam Boyle's. "I envy seas whereon he rides. I envy spokes of wheels of chariots that him convey. I envy crooked hills that gaze upon his journey. How easy all can see what is forbidden utterly is heaven unto me. I envy nests of sparrows that dot his distant eaves. The wealthy fly upon his pane, the happy, happy leaves that just abroad his window have summer's leave to play. The earrings of Pizarro could not obtain for me. I envy light that wakes him, and bells that boldly ring to tell him it is noon abroad, myself be noon to him. Yet interdict my blossom and abrogate my bee, lest noon and everlasting night drop Gabriel in me." This idea that there is, for some reason, an inability to feel connected and longing to somehow feel connected. I think the point she's making here is that sometimes there's no way to overcome the suffering caused by absence and the longing for someone. And the ambiguity of the "it" here is that the summer of 1862, she's talking about something else. We don't know. Of course, all of the other longing poems that we've been referencing come to mind immediately, right? And as we said, 498 especially. What about poems 538 and 511? Go back and take a look at those to see also her capacity to create that voice of the longing, of the desiring. Finally, at 3B, to own a poem like this. What was a time when you were all longing and there just wasn't a good way to say how? Thank you.